Hi, hello. This is Dan from BPMS Software, starting the series of tutorials regarding the BPMS Administrator 6. What you're seeing here is the BPMS switchboard. It's the first screen in BPMS that you're going to see. Maybe when you start BPMS, depending on your customization, you will be asked to run a reminder. This is reminder over here. And now that I mentioned it, let me just show you this important feature. Reminder is just a table that contains all the information about the things that you need to do in BPMS, showing you when you need to send your letters, your notification letters, your repair letters, other type of documentation like survey letters or grease control letters or whatnot. So this is important, and depend how you customize BPMS, you may be prompted when you start BPMS to run this on a start. Now, when you cancel it or run it, and when you close it, you will eventually see the switchboard. The switchboard contains a number of buttons. On the left-hand side are the buttons that open up various forms that we're going to discuss in a minute. And on the right-hand side, that's buttons that open up various forms that deals with customization and various ways to adjust BPMS to your liking. So now on the left-hand side, you can notice that we have facilities form, and I opened it by clicking on it. I can close it here by hitting close or hitting the X button here, and other forms I can open the same way. Now I will open up the facility form to just discuss quickly one simple hierarchy in BPMS. In BPMS, facility is one of the main forms because it contains all the information about customers and devices. Who are the customers? Customers are basically the mailing addresses that you're going to use to send your notification letters, surveys, or whatnot to some certain addresses, to some certain names. And these customers, they're the ones who are responsible for the facility. So that means that customer can be one for facility, or like in this case, we can see that we have few customers here. Main one is an occupant. He is listed as primary. And then we have caretaker, actually, and we have the owner. Actually, no, the caretaker, this one is unknown in this case. So I can see when I look at the facility, I can quickly see that there is customers for it, and this facility has a device. I can also see, looking at these tabs here, if there is any pending surveys or any surveys that were done to this facility. Also, if there is any grease control done. If there is images for this facility, there is additional info where you want to put more information in case you need it. And custom fields that will allow you to put any information that you find important for a facility and that BPMS didn't include in the form. So that's what you can do in a facility. And there is another thing. It's an easy way. If I'm looking at the facility, I can easily go and look at the information about the customer for this facility. So for example, I can put my cursor to any of these customers. You see that the arrow is changing here on the left, or I can just select here the whole row. If I double click, or if I hit the customer button, then that form will be open up, the customer form. So I can just close out of this or just double click inside of that field. And the form will open up with that customer. There is information about the customer here, and if I go to Facilities Devices tab, then I can see that this customer has two facilities, of which one is this Boundary Dental Clinic. So if I open this form from facility, if I close it, I'm going to be back at the facility where I started from. Same thing goes for the devices. If I double click in a device, I will open up this device form and I can look at it. And the information about the facilities here on the left, it's put in blue color because you cannot change it in here. You cannot type in these fields. You can only type in the fields that are white here. So if I close it, I will be back to my facilities form. Now, let's actually close out of all of this. We also have other forms. I briefly opened up customers, and I also opened up backflow devices form. Now we can see that we have test results form. This test results form basically also gives you on top the information about the device that was tested and other information that are relevant for the test itself. There is other forms like survey inspections form that has more information that you need for the survey. And also there is information about the testers who are performing tests, either about testers themselves or the companies they belong to. So hitting any of these buttons will open appropriate form. I'm going to close out of this. So this is basically just the first screen that you're always going to use whatever kind of task you perform in BPMS. And as I said, left-hand side is more for using the forms that you're going to use day to day. The right-hand side you're probably going to use for customizing a few times, sometimes maybe hitting this reminder. But these other things that you see on the right-hand side, you're not going to use that often. Here is something more about these forms. These forms are basically your live database in front of you. So any sort of changes that you do when you open a record, it's going to stay. So for example, this is unit number 207. If I type 209, if I close the form, if I open it up again, you can see that this stayed behind. However, you will see that there is a save button. The save button is only useful if you know that you're going to step away from your table and you just entered something and you don't want to exit the form, which will save anything that you have done to it. In this case, you can hit the save button and it will save whatever you currently have in this form. So a few other things. You can see here that we have drop-down menus for some certain parts and fields in this form. And this street name, I can use the drop-down menu and basically start scrolling here to find the appropriate street. If I don't find the appropriate street, let's say I want to change this street. I'm going to start typing. If I start typing and say A, then I'm going to have pretty much everything that's the closest match to this thing that I started typing. So I say AN, it's trying to put Andover Park. I can use the drop-down menu, and I can basically now pick if it's going to be PKW or Park W. So let's say PKW. Now that I'm with this, it's obviously the same street. So in this case, it was just doubled, I would say. But if you want to get rid of it or if you want to add new streets in BPMS, you can double-click on the fields. Then have the drop-down menu like this. It will open up a table, and you can now manipulate this. You can deactivate some certain streets, or you can basically hit new, go all the way to the bottom, and add a new street to the list. So this is what you can do in pretty much any form in BPMS that has the drop-down menu. Okay, let's say this is basic for now. I'm going to close out of this, signing off Dan from BPMS. In next tutorial, we're going to deal with basic workflow. Bye now.